Alright, YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So let's get right into this video. I had a comment on one of my videos talking about suffering and being a chosen one in suffering, or just having a lot of battles to deal with ever since you were young, right? So if you know that you are someone who's destined for something, you just know that you have like a pull towards a certain thing or like something that you know you're supposed to be doing. And you've always been this type of person, right? You've always been this type of person that's, highly intelligent. Like you're a thinker. You have a lot of different ideas. You've probably had thousands of different ideas for what you want to do in your life. And you've always been different. You've always been like a light, right? You've always been a person that's really kind, a person who's seen through like everything pretty much. Just a person that's been completely different from everyone else around you, right? And if you look at a lot of past successful people, like let's take a look at Michael Jackson, for example. Like he was one of the biggest pop stars ever, right? But his childhood was traumatic. Like I think he was beat by his father, had like a lot of really bad things happen to him, and he had a traumatic childhood, right? And everyone that's destined for a higher purpose has to see the dark side first, and the dark side's always earlier. It's usually the childhood. The childhood's full of traumas, right? You probably have like heavy childhood trauma, a lot of like traumatic memories, a lot of bad things, and your life has had like a really high amount of suffering, right? And the suffering could be unique. It could be multiple different things. It's all unique for each person, right? But the same thing for everybody that's destined for something bigger is their childhood is really traumatic because you're completely different. And there's nothing about you that's really the same as the people around you, right? You're just someone who can't really like truly connect with most people around you. And like you've had people like not understand you, or like you go around them and like you kind of feel like they're draining, or like they don't have the same ideas, or they just put you down. They just try to kill your spirit, right? Try to tell you anything that you're doing is not going to work out, and they tell you all these things. And I know if you're watching this video, I know you can resonate to this video, and not everyone will resonate to this, but the people that do, you will know what I'm talking about. And ever since you were a child, you've just suffered. You've suffered at a really young age, and this is true. You've had a lot of, childhood problems, childhood traumas. A lot of just bad things have happened to you, right? And this is how it has to go for anyone who's has a different kind of calling from God on them. They gotta see the darker side first. They gotta see the negative. They gotta see like the pain and everything, because there's a price to pay with everything, right? And if you have something that's big, you're gonna have the other side that's big, right? You have a big positive calling, you're gonna go through big suffering, right? So the more suffering that you go through, the higher your purpose is, right? And the Bible even says, "Blessed is the one who endures." And you've probably been the type of person to have to endure a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, a lot of traumas, like your whole life. It's probably been like nonstop with like little bit of breaks and everything, but most of the time it's been nonstop, right? It's never like you're just completely like at complete peace, right? But the good thing is, since you do have the Holy Spirit, you have the Spirit of God on you, your life is in God's hand. Whenever you go through all these things, you always have a peace fall on you, right? This is why you seem to be able to like go through any situation, and like you never seem to give up. Like you can't even give up even if you say it. And like it's funny because this has happened to me before too. Like I can't even get myself to just like stop doing something, even if I say I want to stop. Like I'll just be like, man, I give up. I'm not gonna do this anymore. That only lasts like an hour, and then you just go right back into it, right? Because you're supposed to have this really burning fire inside of you if you have a different calling from God. And you'll know that you specifically have a purpose by God if you're chosen, because you feel it in your spirit. I can't necessarily explain exactly how it feels, but you just have a feeling in your spirit like you just built for something else. You just know it. It's not like you're delusional or anything. You already know it. And based on how your life has been going, you know that that's the case, because God won't God will not let you go certain routes and let you stay there if it's a wrong route. So if you go a certain way, like you might be able to check it out for a little bit, but after a certain amount of time, it's going to end. He's going to cut it off. And you've probably seen this before too. Anytime you try to go through certain things, even if you're someone who would be, perfect for it, whether that's like like a job or like a thing that you're doing, whether it's you would be considered perfect for it, somehow it ends up failing. Like you might lose the opportunity, or you might do it and then you might get fired or something, or it might just stop. You might just completely fail at it, and then you would have to go through somewhere else. And this is how you know if you're destined, because your life is going to constantly kind of seem, I wouldn't say manipulated, but it kind of seems rigged for you to walk that way, right? Everything that you've gone through is on purpose, and it's to lead you to that certain thing that you're supposed to be doing. And this is why your life kind of doesn't make any sense, because you could be doing like what's considered the right thing to do in like society or something, but all of a sudden like it just doesn't work out for you, and you're like, how does this not work out? Like, am I doing this wrong? And like, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just that you're built for something else. So if you do stay at that one spot for too long, you're not going to be able to fulfill the thing that you're supposed to fulfill. So this is why your life moves like that. And this is why you kind of naturally have a lot of gifts. You're just a highly gifted person. Like, you probably get good at things extremely quickly. You probably get good at pretty much anything that you do. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be good at it. You get good at things really fast, and you're just naturally like a high skilled person. And these are all the gifts that you've got. But because you have all these gifts, right, you're always going to have to see the dark side. And then the dark side is the suffering, the traumas, the problems, the constant tribulations, the constant problems and everything. So it all balances itself out. And this is how your life moves. And this is also why you may find yourself like, you could be going through like negative, thoughts. Like, you could be getting frustrated, but you never really stay at these negative things. You never really kind of just stay bitter, or like you stay angry, or like you stay frustrated. Like, you could be like this for a short amount of time, and then you go back up, right? You get positive again, you get optimistic again. So you never really stay down to the point where you're like completely miserable. And yeah, God made you like that on purpose, because you're supposed to be someone that overcomes a lot of things. You're supposed to be someone that, you're just an overcomer. You already know this is true. You've overcame like everything that you've gone through. Whatever the trials and tribulations that you have, you know that you've overcame all of them, and you'll overcome whatever's the one you're dealing with now. So, but yeah, this is how it is. If you're someone who's chosen, your life is going to have a lot of suffering, and the suffering always starts at a very young age. So there's a lot of traumatic memories and like a lot of things to deal with. Most of the time, you're dealing with things alone too. It's always just you, but it's not just you though. It's always you and God. This is why you may even surprise yourself too, because you could be like, wait, I could chill so long by myself, and it's not even necessarily like you really love to be alone, but like you can be alone. Like, you're not really gonna trip if you're alone, right? You probably like to be alone, but like, you're a person who likely likes to talk to people. You just don't want to talk to people that drain your energy, right? This is why you like to stay alone. But you also have a lot of alone time too, because you're a very smart person, you're a very intelligent person, and you have a calling from God too. So you need to be alone, so you do that thing, right? So you actually do it. And this is why you've always kind of been feeling like separated from people. Even when you're around people, you could actually still feel separated, because like no one's able to like relate to you. You might be saying something and nobody's really listening, and like you like know it's right, but no one's listening, and you're like, man, no one like listens to me. It's like, I know this is a good idea and I feel like it's right, but no one says anything, right? It's supposed to be like this, because you're placed on purpose with people around. It could be anyone, it could be friends, it could be family. Just the majority of people that you have around are not really going to understand, because it's a vision that you have from God. So not everyone can see it. It's only you can see it, because the vision is for you, right? And this is why God keeps you alone a lot. Like, you just end up being alone. It's almost like you spend more time alone than with people, and it's a good thing, right? And you already have the personality to where you never really necessarily get lonely. You like to be alone, but like, it's not like you hate talking to people, right? You like to talk to people, but you're alone a lot because you have something to fulfill. You have a person who has a lot of ideas, right? And you're also a really sensitive person. You're empathetic and everything. So being alone is it's a good way to just protect yourself, right? Because if you do try to talk to like toxic people, like narcissistic people, or just people who are Debbie Downers, like they just down you, they don't really have any good ideas, like they don't really do anything that's like spectacular or anything, and you're gonna try to talk to them, and they're just gonna be negative the whole time, and it's just gonna drain you, right? So it's either like you're alone, or you speak to people who are just pretty much just like you, right? And it's rare to find anyone just like you too, because you're a completely unique person. But there'll be people who ride the same wavelength with you, like who have ideas too. There'll be other people like that. Those are the people that you have to talk to. But yeah, your life has had really strong suffering, and like you might look at it, you might look past in your life and be like, man, a child should not have to go through that, or like at this young of an age, like this is kind of, you might even look at it like this is kind of wrong. But this is how it is for you. If you're someone who's specifically chosen for like a higher purpose, you're gonna have to see the bad side, right? It has to equal itself out. So you're gonna see a lot of dark things at a really young age, and you're gonna go through a lot of trials. It's gonna feel like it's gonna feel like these trials are gonna break you, but they never break you, right? And you've always been able to overcome these things. And some of these trials and sufferings could be so tough that like they seem literally impossible. But that's the whole reason that you have God, because God does impossible things. This is why you've probably gone through situations that are impossible, and you've gone through them, and you're like, wait, like how did that even happen? But it's God, right? It's like it's impossible, but with God it's possible. So but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, God bless you guys.